Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling. I shall see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where dun dun dun. Well, I don't know why I'm doing dun dun dun. There's nothing really related to me or my channel, to be honest. But Honkai Star Rail has been released. If you don't know, it's the latest game created by MiHoYo, the people who made Genshin Impact. And you know, to you that might be like or to you might be like, oh yeah, you know, awesome. As I say, to me, I'm like, I don't know what I think of it yet, but I'm giving it a shot because, you know, as I say, I've spoken about it before. It's not like I love gacha games because, again, I don't like the monetization scheme, but I do like the games as a service and often the genres that they tend to encompass. So I'm giving it a shot, basically. But anyway, hello everyone. We're now in Fawnhallow at 6:08 p.m. on Wednesday, April 26, 2023. Yeah, like, for someone who doesn't like a monetization scheme, I do play a decent amount of gacha games. But yeah, as I've talked about it so many times, is because it's a game as a service sort of thing where, you know, and it's very story focused. It's basically story focused games as a service, which is why I like it. Or story and art focused is perhaps how I might describe it, which is, you know, appealing to me. And maybe if there were other like games out there which fell under that sort of like genre, which weren't gacha games, then I'd be more willing to play them. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And not to say I don't play a lot of other games anyway, to be fair. But yeah, and here I'm trying to justify myself. When really, the long and short of it is, if I'm having fun and I know how to responsibly control myself, it's fine. Anyway, Honkai Star Rail is out. I've only played a little bit of it. I literally played it in the morning, to be honest. Like before work, I wake up pretty early anyway, and I was just like, you know, I've got a bit of time. Let's check out Honkai Star Rail because it was released at 3 a.m. my time, so obviously I could not stay up for its release. Yeah, I've been playing it a little bit. It's pretty cool, from what I say. It's got a lot less exploration in it compared to Genshin Impact, which is kind of like known for its exploration, which is totally fine with me because, as I said a million times before, exploration tends to be my least favorite pillar in a game. And it's turn-based like combat, sort of like JRPG is probably how I describe it. Despite the fact it's not Japanese, I guess it's like a CRPG because it's Chinese. But I generally like RPGs, to be honest, like turn-based RPGs. Which, and I don't know, it's kind of strange saying that because I haven't actually played like a lot of JRPGs that I can think about. Like when I say JRPGs, what are the first things that come to mind? Almost certainly, I bet Final Fantasy, boom, first thing that appears in your mind. Even if you don't play Final Fantasy, I feel like Final Fantasy as a series is such like a quintessential JRPG, isn't it? You know, everyone, okay, not everyone. If you know about gaming, you generally know about Final Fantasy, right? It's basically the sort of titular JRPG, and this is where you go, hey, dear darling, it's not actually the titular JRPG. You know, technically Pokemon should be because it's an absolute force of nature as a franchise. Is Japanese and is an RPG as a main series. Okay, yes, you know. It is a JRPG. Don't get me wrong. But by every definition it is. I cannot even begin to argue against it. It's just sort of like, you know, when I say JRPG, don't you get like a certain feeling from it? And Pokemon doesn't really fit that vibe. For me personally, you know, when I say JRPG, I think, you know, Final Fantasy. I think like Octopath Traveler or like Bravely Default or oh, what's that one? Golden Sun. Whatever. No, that wasn't one I was trying to name, but a Persona, like these sort of things. You know, where it's sort of like a very anime theming, I suppose, with it. You know, it's sort of like a JRPG with emphasis on the J. You know, the Japanese influence and in the games, right? Nowadays, I'm sure the actual definition of JRPG should probably not be subscribed to that. No, maybe back in the day it was much more technically accurate, and nowadays it's much more just sort of like about a vibe. Or maybe that's just my own personal biases, which is fair. But in general, I quite like the RPG sort of Dragon Quest. That's another big one. RPG sort of genre, to be honest. Not that I have anything against the action RPG or something. It's just like, I don't know. I guess RPGs, the turn-based RPGs tend to sort of suit my style a bit more. And you might be like, is that because you're more strategic? You're much more logical when you play games. You know, I've seen you play puzzle games. You seem like you would thrive in a much less mechanically stressed environment. And the answer to that is probably, but it's not the biggest influence. I'm not really sure necessarily if I can put into words why I like RPGs more. I guess it's because I get to do things on my terms and on my times. It feels a bit better rather than having to keep up the action continuously. like you do in an action RPG, you know, in a J and not just a JRPG, in any RPG, I can sort of like sit back, I can think about my turn, I can go, you know, pause and, well, I mean, I guess you can pause and do something in an action RPG, but it feels a bit weirder, you know. It feels a bit more natural, I suppose, in the turn-based RPG to do so. And yeah, I don't know. I think also probably the biggest thing is the fact that a lot of the games I played when I was younger were just RPGs. You know, a lot of my favorite games, especially Pokemon, obviously, is very big in my life, and you know, I played a huge amount of Pokemon games when I was younger. And then like what else? Like Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, or the Paper Mario series in general. Amusingly, my first taste of a franchise was with Super Paper Mario, which is not at all a turn-based RPG. It is just like a platformer essentially, but it made me play the first one and the second one, so Paper Mario, the original Paper Mario and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, and I loved them. In fact, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door to this day is probably one of my top 5 games of all time, because it's I don't know how well it holds up necessarily, but I loved it when I played it initially. What other sort of RPGs I played? I played a decent amount of Golden Sun. I had Dragon Quest IX, which really appealed to me, which I haven't finished either of those games, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I just, you know, those are games which I've just, sorry, I'm also doing some on my phone, I just pressed the wrong button. Those are games I've had for a while, I just, you know, I've never finished them. I guess Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is not really the same sort of style as a turn-based RPG, you know, because you had to sort of like move around. It's sort of like a weird blend between an action and a turn-based RPG, isn't it? It's like a turn-based action RPG. Is that a thing? I don't really know. Maybe isometric like dungeon crawler is perhaps a better way to describe it. But I do like my RPGs, and I can't. I guess, you know, one thing I also like about RPGs is they tend to be quite like team focused. It's like, you know, you build up your own team. It's all about the synergy and the unity between your own team members to take on a threat or whatever, or to progress through a story. Super Mario RPG, that's another really big one I played. And I guess, as I said before, I love ensemble casts. You know, don't give me just one main protagonist. Give me like 5 main protagonists, all with like different characters and personalities, so I can see how they bounce off each other. You know, I can see how they interact. That to me is just like, mwah, that's how it works. And then integrating that mechanically into the game itself with RPG, with each one, you know, having different play styles, different mechanics. You know, some being much more aggressive, some being quite defensive, some being quite supportive. You know, that just like, you can see how it's a perfect storm for my own personal taste. Not necessarily because of mechanics itself, but more to do with the overarching meta story, or like framing that is put around the actual mechanics itself. Helps to support the things I like. I noticed that we didn't talk to Tortimer for some reason to put that stuff away, but you know, so be it. I also think we need to definitely get more sticks, so we should be a bit careful that this is not a wasp. Okay, we're going to take our time to basically just shake this tree like crazy to get some sticks, because we are missing quite a few sticks, it seems. But yeah. And I guess I just sort of like the customization aspect and seeing things grow. I mean, it's probably quite similar to why I like ND&D, like as a concept. It's sort of like a, you know, a band of misfits or whatever, you know, all of different styles and different, you know, play styles or personalities, whatever, like banding together. So for some reason, like strategy involving just a few concentrated group of people seems to appeal to me much more than, you know, strategy involving just one person, or strategy involving a load of like nameless people. So that's why, you know, it's not like turn-based Age of Empires would be like my sort of cup of tea, and nor would turn-based, I don't even know like a turn-based RPG where you only play as one person. I genuinely cannot think of one off the top of my head. Isn't my favourite genre in the world. No, I still think puzzle games tend to take that title, which is weird because of how much emphasis I like to say on like story-based games tend to be my favourite things. But yeah, I don't know. For how much it definitely is up there for one of my favourite genres. You might be surprised to know how few of these actual like popular RPGs I played. Like, obviously I said I played Pokemon, I played Paper Mario, or any Nintendo RPG. Most Nintendo RPGs I've probably played, but I've never played any Final Fantasy game. And to be honest, no, actually, I think I played a little bit of Final Fantasy 13 on a friend's like Xbox or something. It's mainly because I'd never owned any other consoles which they came out on. Actually, they might have come out on Nintendo consoles, I don't really know, but so I don't really have a childhood or nostalgia associated with them in the first place. But I'm not down to I'm not opposed to trying them, you know. Certainly if I were to play them, I'd play the ones which people say are pretty good, like Final Fantasy 7. I know it gets talked about a lot. I think Final Fantasy 10 gets talked about a lot. I don't really remember. I'd had to do my research, of course, into it. I've not played Fire Emblem. I played Fire Emblem Heroes, you know, which you might be like, classic, but and I don't play that anymore. Mainly because power creep in that game is absolutely insane. I don't know if you've ever played Fire Emblem Heroes, but power creep gets crazy really quickly in that game. Not the quickest, I suppose, which is ever in existence, but still. What else have I played? I need to like look up a list of like popular RPGs or something. Maybe JRPGs, because that's what I'm talking about most accurately, I suppose. JRPGs. JRPGs turn-based. 18 best turn-based JRPGs for beginners. Chrono Trigger, not played Chrono Trigger. Final Fantasy, not played. Suikoden, also not played. Pokemon series, have played. So, you know, we're 1 out of 18, we're doing good. Ni no Kuni, I didn't even know Ni no Kuni was a turn-based RPG, to be honest. Yakuza I've also not played, but it seems like it could be a lot of fun because Yakuza's so crazy. I found I've not played, but I've watched Chugga Conroy play it, so, you know, that's basically the same thing. Octopath Traveler, also not played. Monster Hunter? Oh, Stories, Winds of Ruin. I didn't know that was a turn-based RPG. I didn't know Monster Hunter even had a turn-based RPG within its franchise, to be honest, but fair enough. Persona's also another one which I would be interested in trying out because I hear it's good. Dragon Quest, I played Dragon Quest 9, I believe. Golden Sun, I have played Golden Sun. Valkyria Chronicles, I actually also didn't know it was a turn-based RPG. I thought it was a strategy game, but so be it. Legends of Heroes Trails in the Sky, I've never even heard of. Super Mario RPG Legends of 7 Stars, have played through. I think I beat it. I don't actually remember if I beat it or not. A lot of these RPGs, because it's a deficit with these games, is that they're so long. A lot of the times, you know, you get a little bit burnt out playing the game, I suppose. Well, if you're me at least. I'm sure some of you out there are just like, yeah, I could just play the same RPG for like 50 hours straight. Fair enough, you know, fair enough. Different tricks for different folks, as they say. But for me, I feel like a lot of times with RPGs, I got kind of sort of like burnt out a little bit. And, you know, it's often towards the end where I'm just like, you know, I can't be bothered anymore. I don't actually think I beat Super Mario RPG. Because I think what I had to do was like, the enemies were getting too strong. And it became such a chore, like grinding up. But I was just like, you know, I'll come back to this at a different point. I mean, I just never did. And I remember where I was actually. I was in the pirate ship with the rats. I don't remember what level that is. I don't remember what context, how far through that is in Super Mario RPG. I'm going to guess that's about 65% of the way through. But I just never got around to finishing it. Final Fantasy, never played. Fire Emblem Three Heroes. I've heard Fire Emblem Three Heroes is really good. I've just never played it. I'm Setsuna, also never heard of. But, okay. Yeah. I'm not opposed to these sort of games. Like I'm sure if I played Earthbound or the Mother series in general, I would probably love it. You know, I liked Undertale, and I'm not going to say that Undertale is like Mother necessarily, but it's inspired from it, isn't it? So, you know, so is Amori, I'd imagine, in certain aspects. So I don't see why I wouldn't like it, to be perfectly honest. And I'm not going to rule out playing it in the future. It's just RPGs are quite the time investment, aren't they, to play? Why are they always so long? Is because I guess they're so chock full of story and whatever. And, you know, turn-based gameplay tends to be a lot slower than other forms of gameplay. Because, you know, like an action RPG, like a boss battle or something in Dark Souls or something, they probably, even the longest battle I can't imagine takes more than like 10 minutes. That's not necessarily true. I suppose it depends on your build, but I'd imagine that the devs are aiming for you to spend somewhere between 3 and 7 minutes, I suppose, on a boss battle, because keeping up that level of like intensity for so long is exhausting. Even probably I way overestimated it, to be honest. It probably feels a lot longer because of how many times you like reset and die and come back to it, but it's probably not actually as long as you think it is. Is my guess. But also, I might be wrong because I've never timed it. Here I am making bold assumptions without actually any data to back it up, which is something I'm very vehemently against. Okay, sell through, roost, and exercise. Okay, those are we can do. Ooh, we can do. Yeah, so I mean that's basically why I'm giving Honkai Star Rail a try. And it's pretty cool so far, you know. I guess always capturing that sort of feeling of playing a new game again and discovering things for the first time is always quite exciting. And the only reason I'm trying this one in particular is because, you know, I play Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact is a good game, you know, with a terrible monetization scheme, basically. So, you know, I'm just like, you know, from a game designer perspective, you will, I have faith that you have made a game which I will enjoy. So, you know, that's why, essentially. I mean, brand loyalty is a thing, certainly. It's a reason why I'm loyal to, I suppose, Nintendo a lot of the time. I'm willing to try a lot of Nintendo games. Well, I say willing to try them, and I actually don't play them all that many games in general, but it's why I buy their newest console every single time. It's like, I like the previous games, I don't see why I wouldn't like these future games as well. But yeah. I don't really know where I was going with this. Make sure not to sell the things which are important to keep around. But yeah, that's basically it. I generally can't think of what else to particularly say. So I don't know. What are some of my favourite RPGs I played? Definitely Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. I think Paper Mario Thousand Year Door is out there. I think Omori is generally out there, but it's not out there because of its RPG mechanics. I think its RPG mechanics are kind of like, they're fine, to be honest. I'm not going to say they're the weakest part of Omori. Omori's strongest part is by far and away its story. And it's so weird because after I finished playing Omori, I was just like, I'm not sure this game makes my top 20, to be honest. No, I mean, it probably makes my top 20. I'm just not really sure where, to be honest. But now I think about it more, I'm like, it's probably really close to top 5, maybe actually in my top 5. I don't know. No game for a long time has consumed so much of my mind except Omori after I finished it. Which is, you know, definitely something I rate quite highly. But Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, definitely up there. You might be like, who is your favourite character in Paper Mario Thousand Year Door? I don't really remember them all too well. Let's see who I can remember. Okay, you start with Goombella, you get Koopas, is that his name? And then you get Flurry, then you get Vivian, then you get... Who do you get after Vivian? Something in my mind is like you get a big guy, but I don't know who that would be. You get Bommery? Captain Bommery, whatever his name is. That was a really sad story from what I recall. Then you get Lakitu. No, Lakitu passed into the first game. You get Miss Mouse at some point. Miss Mouse is pretty based. Well, actually, I'm not even sure she's that based. She's like a thief, I guess, but she's pretty amusing. But she's post-game. Who else do you have? I need to look it up. I'll definitely remember them if I see their names. Then you get a paratrooper, right? Is that in the first game? No, that's in the second game, isn't it? I do not remember what the paratrooper's called. Might just be called Paracooper, sorry. Let's see. Paper Mario... Spin. Thousand Year Door. The letter P in the Mario Wiki. Okay, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Images. Oh, you get Yoshi! How could I forget Yoshi, the wrestler? Looks like they might be fourth as well. I think that's all of them, maybe. Already more of it. The original Paper Mario. Original Paper Mario I don't remember as well. You get the Koopa, you get the Bomb-Omb, you get the Lakitu, you get Watts. How many is that? That's 4? Who else do you get? I genuinely don't know. It's really testing my memory. I feel like I should know. Oh, we didn't go to boosters, I forgot. Do we got time? Nah, we don't really have time. Oh, Boella? Is that her name? I can't remember. She's pretty awesome. Okay, I don't remember. Oh, this has all of them. Okay. Okay, you get Goombario. I remember your name. I think your name's Koopas. Oh, I forgot Sushi, the fish. Lakitu, you do get a paratrooper. Miss Mousy and Bella. Oh, this has a Super Paper Mario ones as well. Super Paper Mario one's not nearly as memorable, I think. Except for Tippy, of course, it's quite memorable when you get what you get. Throw, Flip, Dotty, Melody, I think. I don't remember a lot of these names, I'm gonna be honest. Anyway, Companion's always good fun. Wow, so, I mean, Undertale I really like, but again, Undertale's not one I like necessarily because of the RPG elements, although I will say it has a very creative RPG element. I do like the combination of the bullet heck sort of gameplay along with the actual RPG element, but the RPG element was not like it's not very strategic, I suppose, in a sense where you have like, oh, you got to think exactly like what move to use when or something, and coordinate attacks and time things or things like that. A lot of it sort of just can be sort of sidestepped by how well you can do the bullet heck, which is fine, you know. I suppose it's a sort of trade-off when you combine two genres like that. But anyway, I'm not here to analyze that game. RPGs, JRPGs. I don't know what I'm going to title this episode. JRPGs, maybe. I've probably spoken about RPGs before. They're fun. You know, what can I say? What can I say? So hopefully I'll have more fun playing some Star Rail, which I'm probably going to go do now. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, share. It's greatly appreciated. Twitter, Discord down below. Hope we can see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time. Bye-bye for now.